Now, the SA Social Security Agency admits that it has not paid the 350 Rand grant for the past 2 months. That's 10.6 million people who applied for the social relief of distress grant in April and have been left with nothing due to an administration issue. For more on this, I'm joined by Hoodah Abrahams-Fayker, an advocacy manager at Black Sash. Very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. Very concerning matter. Not a single social relief of distress grant has been paid out in both April and May of this year. What's your reaction?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Black Sash is very concerned. The government is obviously not taking the plight of the unemployed seriously. We welcome the fact that the grant was being extended, and that announcement was made in February already, and to date no grants have been paid because they are waiting for a finalization of an agreement with banks to enable a means test.
Now, the delays as a result of the means test for the new phase of the grant, I mean, do you think that the reasoning perhaps is sufficient?
Definitely not. I mean, they had ample opportunity to consider how this would be implemented. Already there was a delay even with just the reiteration of the grant when the regulations were published late to ensure that the Social Assistance Act would be governed now, governing the social relief of distress grant after the lifting of the state of disaster. And that came through late. And then you had further restrictions in terms of just saying that everyone had to now reapply for the grant. The qualification criteria was much more onerous just in terms of reducing the threshold, the fact that there were survey questions. Applicants would now have to confirm that they're unemployed every 3 months. So it's just more and more onerous in terms of the administration, and applicants have to actually jump through hoops to get this meager amount of 350 Rand.
And in jumping through hoops, we know the situation in South Africa when it comes to the unemployment rate, the state of the economy. So the rationale for the means test, which was previously loose and excluded only the employed, is to ensure now that the grant reaches the poorest of the poor, according to the department. Do you think that it will be able to expand on that front, considering the administrative processes that need to be followed?
Well, first of all, the reduced threshold of 350 Rand will already exclude many. Previously, they would have qualified for the grant because the means test was 595 Rand. But DSD and SASSA actually confirmed that the reason for this criteria is so that they can be within budget, because they won't be able to pay all the beneficiaries if the criteria is broad, because they only have to pay the grants.
Now, as a result, the poorest South Africans now find themselves in a catastrophic situation. What do you think should happen now?
Well, I mean, obviously we would want the grant to be paid. It's only 350 Rand. There is still not confirmation of when that will happen. There are conflicting reports that they would have done it from this week. Other reports say mid-June. So, and they may not be able to be backdating those payments immediately where you get more than one amount. Also, there are still appeals processes where people are still waiting to be reconsidered and paid, and that is up until last year. So in terms of just making sure that people get the grant immediately, I mean, it's immediately is already too late, but also just in looking at the criteria that they have at the moment is very restrictive and will really not allow beneficiaries to get the grant, and the people for whom it is intended will not be receiving the grant.
And how bad is the situation? I mean, we describe a catastrophic situation for South Africans who are really under a lot of pressure from the current status of the economy. How bad is it?
It is very bad. I mean, we know that food price hikes are happening because of the international conflict with Russia and Ukraine, which impacts on fuel prices as well as the prices of food. And so prices to be able to get food is high. And people in South Africa are struggling, more so the poor. But now they don't have a lifeline. And the thing is that there is an obligation on government to provide support for those who cannot support themselves. And they're failing dismally with this obligation, rather trying to be within budget when people are maybe dying of hunger.
Very well. Thank you so much for weighing in on this. That was, pardon me, Hoodah Abrahams-Fayker, an advocacy manager at Black Sash. Thank you for your time.